Welcome everyone to the Nerd Nook. I'm your host Evan Teague. With me, like always, is my holly jolly good friend Noah Bailey.
Ho ho ho.
And yes, this is probably the last episode of the year. So, go us. We did it. We made it through the year that is 2020. Whoa. Okay.
At least it's almost over.
Yes. And what a way to end it by talking about The Mandalorian season 2. Now, I don't know how you want to just how do you want to do it? Do you want to like go chronologically? Do you just want to talk about all the big moments? Do you just want to talk about the finale first? Like, what do you want to?
I love it. Let's go in order. Let's go in order, just because I don't want to just only talk about the finale and like forget all the other stuff.
Okay, like just general thoughts about the entire show. Like, obviously, it's more of the Mandalorian. If you liked the first season, you're gonna like this season too. I don't see anything about this season that you would think that wasn't as good, or they left this out, or this could be better. Like, if you like the first season, it's just more of that, but I think better. What do you say?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's definitely better. It kind of just put the first season, said, okay, this is our formula. This was good. Now let's amp it up with extra. And I think that was the idea going in. It was kind of like, let's just set a precedent, set a standard with season one, which they did a really good job of. They had likable characters, there's tropes, there's good villains, and then in season two, they're like, all right, let's do that again. Let's add in, what the fans really want, because we're Star Wars nerds. We know we've seen everything else, so you can just kind of throw people in there, and we pretty much will got it, or we'll watch someone else on YouTube who knows what it's talking about, and then we'll feel smart. So it's like,
I really, really like the fact that, unlike most shows where, like, pretty much every single show I can think of does something like this, where they'll introduce the overarching major plot of the entire season in the first episode or two, and then they'll have filler or like character development stuff for the next like while, and then the story might be at the end of certain episodes, but like the episodes won't be building really to it, and then like at the finale, like the last like 3 episodes are really where the story happens.
right.
I really, really like how the Mandalorian, his quest throughout this entire season was get Baby Yoda to a Jedi. And every single thing he does until the final episode is just a means to the end to further that goal. Like in the very first episode, he goes to try to find the guy that's wearing the Boba Fett armor. I can't remember his name. It's
I forget
C,
too,
maybe,
but
I don't know. That guy, because he feels like Mandalorians can help him find Jedi,
right.
and like that, just and every single episode is just, even ones that feel like filler, build the plot forward to the final end goal of him getting Baby Yoda to a Jedi, and I really, really like that pacing. It just feels so natural, and like it doesn't feel like side quests. It feel like just building on the main quest, and I really like that.
Right, and it's kind of and nothing feels wasted. Like, granted, there are filler episodes, but there's always a little something from each episode, whether it's a huge portion or just a little sliver that completes the overarching goal.
Like even the one with the spiders, which you didn't even watch all the way through, which is fine.
Don't do spiders.
It's fine. Like the reason he went on that journey was to take that one frog lady to her husband, who knew where the next batch of Mandalorians could maybe be, and also that episode built on just kind of how the New Republic functions. Like I just liked, like you could probably skip it and be fine, but I do. It also helped build the relationship between Baby Yoda and Mando, and I just think it just kind of, it is worth watching her to get the entire perspective of the entire show. And I like there's essentially no dull moment at the entire season. I personally felt, yeah.
Yeah.
Although backing up to the first episode real quick, I just Star Wars is so special in the fact that it feels like this show in particular pays such a strong homage to the original trilogy in the way that just if you're just watching it, it just feels like Star Wars. Like not everything in Star Wars canon really feels like this show does. Just every single aspect of this was intentionally made to feel like the original trilogy, and I love that.
Yes, and
Like,
it's just
yeah,
yeah, sorry. Yeah, and it's like like you are going into familiar places, and obviously with Tusken Raiders and whatnot going around. But at the same time, it's also very cool that like it's been kind of modernized, not only just with like like the graphics and like stuff, but it's also just kind of like seeing the world kind of post Empire, and I kind of saw a lot of that in the first season too. But kind of just seeing everything progressing and just kind of the world of Star Wars moving on. It's really cool to see because that's kind of one of the things I didn't like about the sequel trilogy. It kind of just felt so off distant from everything else that there was nothing to really connect it other than the OG characters who but like most of it was kind of just like this is basically a whole new field of play.
yeah, and I feel that was kind of partially due to the directing and just how things were shot and just kind of just generally just the look of it. Like for example, in the Mandalorian, I'm not sure if the Boba Fett armor from the first episode. I'm not sure if that was a prop made for this show, or if that was literally the Boba Fett armor from from Return of the Jedi. Like it looks vintage in that way.
Look just like it. I mean, yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if that was. I mean, obviously they made it to look that way, but I'm not sure if they literally just took that armor like they just had, back in the prop department, just on a shelf somewhere, and be like, hey, let's just use this, or if they made new armor to look like that. But either way, it looks great.
Yeah, they probably made new armor, but just kind of made it look as close to the original as possible because it did look super good. So,
and I think I've said this before. I so appreciate when newer Star Wars stuff doesn't forget that the prequels exist, because like everyone kind of collectively agrees. Say what you want about the prequels. I think everyone could agree that they have their very silly moments. They like some stuff that should be forgotten about. But the cool parts or the parts that actually do build on the grand story, I feel like they should be honored in a certain way. And I said this in our Mandalorian season 1 review. I was so shocked when they went to. I was kind of surprised when they went to Tatooine the first season. They didn't just like have any references to pod racers anywhere on Tatooine. I think that would have been a pretty cool reference just to kind of have in the background someone working on pod racer or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this season, Mando has is on a speeder, and then the guy wearing the Boba Fett armor is just riding on a modified
right
pod racer engine. Like that's so cool.
Right. It makes so much sense because stuff's just probably all around the place. I mean, that was a huge thing. So.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, just everything with the fight with the Krayt Dragon, like just the fact that when that fight started, the aspect ratio just like gradually got bigger and just made it feel more epic. I'm just like that's what I want out of a Star Wars show. Just like because we've known about the Krayt Dragon since Episode 4. That was the sound that Obi-Wan made to drive away the Tusken Raiders from Luke. And now we got to actually see what one of those things looked like, and it was great.
It's wild. And the thing was, like, you kind of got like a Jaws kind of feeling almost from it because it was under the sand and it comes up. And like, I will, the part where like the Tusker, he has the big, I forget what they're called.
Banthas?
Yes, yeah, the Banthas, the big Banthas just kind of there, and he's running away, and it's like it forgets the bait and just gets the guy. I'm just like, oh, Like, I remember seeing, I was like, oh, it's like that. Like I was like, oh shoot,
he's hungry.
And they were like, okay, we're open to some fresh ideas. Like this is scary. Like that was crazy. Oh man, that was real. I thought that was really awesome how they kind of just incorporate, and like made, kind of a simple-ish premise, but it was kind of cool. Like you were kind of, it was suspenseful, but also really exciting, and like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it was kind of cool to see another Mandalorian kind of with the Mando at the time.
Yeah.
Not a legit Mandalorian, so to speak, but I mean, got the armor, Boba Fett doing some cool stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of cool, kind of a tag team
Oh yeah.
dynamic.
And I have a feeling he might be the Ranger of the New Republic. I just put that together. Like, there's a very high chance that, because we still don't know who the Ranger of the New Republic could be. It
That's
could
right.
be him. He seemed to be a fan favorite, at least as far as like he wasn't.
It would make a lot of sense.
And he didn't show up anymore in the season.
Right.
I feel he could easily get his own show. Sure.
I mean, they are just giving them out. So I mean, everyone who raises their hand can get one. Pretty much.
Why not? So yeah, that entire first episode I think was just very, very solid, and then obviously ending with the reveal of Boba Fett existing. We already knew that from the leaks before, but like him being in the show just felt so right. We'll get more on that a lot later, but that was so good. Yeah, we already talked a little about the spider episode. I felt the episode with Bo-Katan was one of the weaker episodes. I never loved her character from the Clone Wars anyway, and it felt a little. It felt like an episode that only existed. Well, I don't know if I can really say that, but it. I don't know. Trying to put words together. How exactly I feel. Well, how did you feel about that episode? So I can.
The episode itself wasn't. I think the episode. It wasn't a bad episode. It was a little bland. I thought it was cool. The three things that were really good about it was seeing like other Mandalorians kind of kicking butt, but also like the whole explanation of like where Mando and his creed more came from versus the actual Mandalorians that we're used to, because the whole like you don't remember your helmet is kind of like, is that like because I remember thinking, I'm like, is that a thing? I don't remember that being a thing. Like I was, it was kind of cool seeing they kind of dig into the origins a little bit.
Yeah, and like, and
also,
the Mando no true Scotsmaning the other ones for taking off their helmet, like that was like you're
yeah,
not
they
true
were just like, hey, what's up, bro? And he was just like,
what?
And he was like, what are you doing? Like. It's like, oh, it's so great to see other Mandalorians takes off helmet. You are not a Mandalorian. Like, but she's like the Mandalorian, so you can't be like, you're not a Mandalorian. And I also thought, and obviously the Ahsoka thing at the end was very cool because, they have that obvious connection from the end of Clone Wars, and, I kind of felt like, at the time, I felt like that was very much a means to the end and end episode. Just because,
that's what I was getting for. Yeah, it really only existed as a means to the end, but it was still a very cool episode. There was still a lot of very, very fun action. It was like shot very well. Like it had a lot of, because it was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, who is, oh no, I always forget his name. Ron Howard's daughter. And like there was a lot of references in that episode to Ron Howard movies, and I just felt like it was just like a lot of side by sides to scenes from his movies, and that was pretty cool. And yeah, just all the stormtroopers just being idiot stormtroopers, like
stormtrooper aim is still a thing, that's for sure.
Closing in the walls around them, being like. But they just getting in and being like, oh well, I guess we're stuck here. Okay, and then they'll die.
It was very satisfying to see, and obviously, and like it is always cool seeing someone from somewhere else in Star Wars showing up in a place you may not have expected. And and Bo-Katan looked very good. I forget the actor.
The actress is actually the same person that voiced her in the show.
Which is really kind of crazy, because she looks
I mean, they
pretty
might
accurate.
have modeled Bo-Katan after her in the show itself.
Probably.
Like
actually, that makes a ton of sense. They do that a lot.
Yeah, like it's not they don't do that like.
Well, not often, but like I feel like
it happens sometimes, and it worked out.
I feel all the times in animated shows they do that.
Yeah,
I know that for sure because that happens a lot. But like that's that is smart in case something like this happens. Because something as big as Star Wars, that makes a ton of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And, costumes look really good, and
Yeah.
and everything. But that's that was the standard for this show, so that's really cool. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought it was very cool. I like how they still have the whole Night Owls thing going on. Yeah, it was a good episode, and it leads right into the next one, which was really cool.
I think the very next episode was the one where him, Carl Weathers, and Cara Dune stormed that one Empire outpost, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
And
maybe it was before or after. I'm not totally sure.
It was right after. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that was a good episode. It kind of felt like a little bit just like old times, kind of. Even though it's only been a season, but it was really cool how they did that.
That was right before. I don't know. It was good. Whatever. It was just the action was very well done. These characters that you like from the first season come back together for one last fight just felt very good.
Right.
But I think the best thing about that episode was Snoke clones. It actually tried to make episode 9 make sense, and it kind of almost does. We finally understand what Moff Gideon needs the Baby Yoda for, and he needs him to make Snoke clones. That just blew my mind when I saw that. The fact that episode 9 didn't bother explaining how Palpatine came back,
right?
And then this movie is we're working on cloning material. If they expanded that a little further in the next season, even more, it'd be it just connects perfectly.
Makes sense. Yeah. And I kind of like that. They're kind of they're still feeding for ideas going into future products. They're not completely ignoring that the sequels exist, as a lot of people want to do, but at the same time they're not leaning towards them too much. It's kind of just oh yeah, this is also a thing, but it's more clinging to the originals than leaning into the sequels, if that makes more sense.
Yeah, but this show is also set 5 years after episode 6. So this is the perfect time to kind of start exploring sequel trilogy stuff. You might as well, if you have an idea to explain something or expand upon something in the sequel trilogy, now is a decent time to kind of start laying the foundation for that. And I want more Star Wars stuff like that. Because part of a little bit of an issue I had with the idea of this show was I was a little afraid it would stick a little too closely to the original trilogy, because it is set so close to the original trilogy. It would just kind of be the Empire is still kind of around. They're going to be the main antagonists. We're only going to really be referencing stuff from the original trilogy, maybe some prequel, but this is clearly showing me they know the sequel trilogy exists. They're going to try to do what they can to build foundation for stuff to make even more sense in the sequel, and I really love that. Yeah, and then that episode also gave you the first little hint of Dark Troopers, which, again, we'll get to those also later, but man, okay.
The setup was live.
The next episode is absolutely my favorite episode of the whole season, the one that introduced Ahsoka.
The Jedi.
Man.
Go ahead.
You start.
Okay. Go. Well, I love the thing where it's you think it's gonna be halfway through, and then you get it, and then it's just nope, right off the bat, Ahsoka's just going in, slicing up some people, and I love how it was interesting because it was using stealth with it was smoky or dark or whatever, and she only uses her lightsabers when she's cutting, and then immediately turns them off because obviously you can see them from a mile away. And I thought that was really cool. I thought it was awesome how she was just kind of intimidating, but it wasn't this very much I am a Jedi. It was more yo, let him out or else. And it was very
I will cut all of you.
Yeah, it was very no nonsense. You know why I'm here. Let's do this. And It looked really good. I thought it was played very well. I thought it was all really cool. There was so much going on,
Yeah,
like
and the climax felt like, because obviously Star Wars has always been heavily inspired by samurai tropes, and this entire
yeah,
Mandalorian, the first season of Mandalorian felt like a samurai movie with its pacing and its general atmosphere, and even music felt like essentially just give him a sword and he would be, instead of a blaster, he would be a samurai.
basically,
So
yeah.
the fact that this episode, like, just like it felt like the climax to most samurai movies, where you have the bad guy in charge of this, like, authoritarian over this town, and like the people are all depressed and hungry because of them. So then the main character runs in and just goes ham and just slices everyone to bits, and then has like a final showdown against the main bad guy samurai.
Mm.
And just the spectacle of it all, with them standing by that waterway, with the one lady holding that spear, her holding her lightsaber, just looked and felt like a classic samurai movie, and I just loved it.
Like a showdown at sunset and just
Yes, sunset, absolutely. Like they paced it out so well that it ended, like, that fight ended at sunset. Like, it just, oh my goodness, so good.
it was done very well. And I love how Mando's like, all right, so I'm here for the Jedi, but I'll make it look like I'm hunting her because
Yeah.
that thing looks in and then like immediately is getting worked by Ahsoka. Like I like how he was just like there was no way. Like he was like, please don't kill me. Hang on,
At
let me
least good thing
explain.
Beskar can block lightsabers.
Yeah, seriously, because that would have been so bad,
Mm-hmm.
so fast. Like no, and I love how it's just kind of. I love how like it was very much like it was like, oh, it was just cool seeing these characters from different, areas of Star Wars interact.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of cool because it did feel like very much like a tangent, like an intersection, just on people are going different ways. Those kind of just like, oh, hey, we ran into each other here, and I think
Mm.
that's obviously, because she's got her own show now, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be, that makes total sense.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Just when they actually officially named Baby Yoda, like, I could not think of a more perfect name than Grogu for that little guy. Like,
Really.
I love that name. Grogu is so good.
It's grown up. Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like by naming it, like it makes sense, but by naming it, it automatically some people aren't gonna like it because it's just how it is.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I know I've talked to some of my friends; they don't really necessarily love it, but it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't really matter that
Mm.
much. It's kind of and it makes like obviously it has to have a name.
Yeah.
Like you can't just not have a name.
He's not
So
just
it makes
baby. He's
total
not
sense.
literally a Baby Yoda. Like,
Exactly. Like that's what we call it. That's probably and that's what the licensing and everything
even
says.
John
But
Favreau still calls him Baby Yoda on set. Like, they're fine with people calling him
that's what
that.
I'm saying. Like they probably also call it video, but just officially, it just makes sense thematically that would have a name.
Mm.
But I think it's very cool that not only like the little training we got with because at the time it was just kind of like I can just sometimes make things float. Now it was more like specific training aspects was
Yes.
really cool, and also just like seeing how it was interesting that Ahsoka was very against training like right off the bat, and it was very much like, all right, nope, you're too attached to him. It's not going to work. I've seen what this does. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
get a little Imperial March sprinkled in there. I think I don't know if I actually heard that, but I know it was
At least like the
hinted at.
vibes of a song like Imperial March, and
Right,
like,
like we all know what you're talking
yeah.
about. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't say it, but we all know what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
because yeah, I love the reveal that Grogu was there at the Jedi Temple when Order 66 happened, and so,
Right?
and like he's able to escape for whatever reason. Like, that was 20 years ago. He had some training, but he hasn't had much since. But he still, a lot has happened to this kid. Where if he goes back on his training, like, some of that stuff could kind of influence him and potentially turn to the dark side. That's, I
Right?
think, very, like, that also, like, that entire scene of them meditating together, where, like, there's no talking for a solid minute and a half, and Ahsoka just like keeps looking back at Mando. He's just like pacing around, worrying, and like just like you can just feel what she's thinking. It's like, there's darkness in Grogu. That he cares about this kid a lot. I don't know if I can trust him, but he needs training. Like I don't like just you can just feel it all in that silence, and I love that.
Very much show and not tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And just...
Oh yeah, and then just obviously I know we kind of talked about it, but the scene when Ahsoka is just wrecking shop inside that city, and just they had to do the scene where she was holding lightsaber and goes
right. You had to do it right. The backhand grip and all. Like, you had to. So nice, and it's crazy to think about because this is the oldest we've ever seen her because this is past Rebels.
Yeah. Which
is oh man, she's which feels weird because for some reason she doesn't feel as old as in Rebels.
Yeah, I guess is that whatever I can never remember what her race is called.
Togruta, I believe, is the official name for it.
Okay, that explains that. I can't remember that.
Yeah, but I mean,
they probably
I don't know how they.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Who knows how it works? We have no idea, and I don't think it's ever been officially, decided. So they probably, for all we know, it could be hundreds of years. Who knows? But I mean,
I think Ahsoka was 17 by the end of Clone Wars.
Yeah,
so she would be 42-ish at this point.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah, Rosario Dawson's
I guess
not that old. Yeah.
I was gonna say, it works out. And when someone's orange, it probably doesn't show that much. So I mean,
and I was so worried about how she would look, but she looked fine. She looks really
great.
Good.
Yeah, I was not. Why doesn't Starfire, look I know that's an entirely different thing. I'm not even gonna go
same
into.
Same basic concept, yeah.
Yeah, it's it's an orange alien. How it's it's not I understand they probably didn't have the same budget, but I mean.
Come on, you do a little better. Anyway, it also something my brother pointed out. Just like with Boba Fett's armor, it really felt like they were trying to capture the vibe of the original trilogy, just with the costume design of her. It looked because obviously with modern prosthetics, you can make those tentacles look fantastic, look almost lifelike. Yet there was something slightly off about them where you could tell they were a costume. They had like creases in them where they bent.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's a live action Star Wars thing set so close to the original trilogy, it's we're kind of used to Star Wars outfits looking like that, and it just felt right.
Right. It's the practicality of the originals that kind of sets it apart from all because it's why everybody likes Puppet Yoda instead of CGI Yoda, even though ideally, you would think a CGI Yoda would look better.
No,
but because
we already know it doesn't.
Yeah, but I mean, you would, thinking that way, and I always thought that was, because it's kind of the spirit of that original Star Wars. It's kind of more the practical, costumes and effects, and less, it kind of works with, it makes it work. So I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely, literally everything about that episode I just love so much. The second in command guy, the guy who was who Mando kind of fought during the samurai battle, he just felt so Star Wars. Just everything he said just had this weird vibe to it that just felt like a villain from the original trilogy. He's so goofy yet kind of intimidating, yet you can't take him seriously. It just it's him
you almost want to feel threatened, but you don't.
Yeah. He's commentating the entire time, who's gonna win? Your side or my side? And then after it ends, oh, looks like you won. Okay, I'll give up now. And then Mando just shoots him.
No, he's nope. It's funny because I feel the entire time Mando's just do I shoot him now or do I wait? He could have easily no chance. The guy had no chance on him, so it was just kind of because I mean the armor is bulletproof anyway, so it doesn't it never really mattered the entire time. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was you could just end this dude at any point. you're not even gonna. You'll be fine. But like, he just wanted to, make it a little interesting. But
Oh, but then the reveal at the very end of that fight,
oh,
that
the
Thrawn
name drop. Oof.
is real. Like, he's actually going to be canonized in a live action show.
We're doing this.
We're doing it.
Like we're doing. Like, oh man, we're doing it. Like we're going
probably,
in.
Probably to be the main villain of Ahsoka's show. Like, that makes so much sense.
That was. I remember I was like, what? Like I was so caught up. I was like,
because he's one of those characters. He's one of those characters that I've heard a lot about. I didn't watch his episodes of Rebels. I know he was a big part of season 3 or 4, maybe 5. I don't know. He was like the major villain of one of the seasons of Rebels. So I've heard the name a lot, and I know he's had significant presence in the comics before, but I didn't really I don't know much about him. But since he is such like a huge name in the Star Wars mythos, just hearing the name. Like, I literally sat on my seat and was like, what, really? Like, oh my goodness, we're doing it.
Like, oh, God. Yeah, no, like, and like, I know in Legends he had like a huge lore and pull too. So, and as we'll get into a little bit later, I feel like this is a lot more Legends based also. So, like, this is gonna be insane. Like, this is gonna be insane, man.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you thought Moff Gideon was something, just wait.
Oh yeah, and. Yeah, we'll go ahead and move on to the next episode, the one that reintroduced Boba Fett. Just again, like that entire episode, the action scene of that episode definitely had like a cheesy 80s movie vibe to it because it was directed by Robert Rodriguez. Do you know who that is?
I should, but I don't. Let me look.
Oh, you want me to just tell you, or do you want to look?
No, go ahead. Just tell me.
So there was literally one point where something happened, and I'm like, this feels almost like something out of a Spy Kids movie.
Oh!
He directed Spy Kids and Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
I thought I knew that name. I was like, that does sound familiar. So, okay, that does explain kind of the cheesy, like beats the stormtroopers with his bare hands, just like, all right. Like,
yeah, but at the same time, because it's Boba Fett, you just kind of accept it. Like, yeah, why not Boba Fett beating stormtroopers' skulls open with his staff? Like, why not?
Right? Because it is Boba Fett. I mean, the dude, he's a baller, but I mean, like, oh man, it's just so.
That whole episode was just like. It was a lot of setup and then like 12 minutes of action and then it was over, and I love that. Like you know what you're here for. You're here to see, Boba Fett and that other girl who I can never remember her name, the bounty hunter from season 1.
It's weird because I know like her real name is like Ming-La, but I don't know her actual name in the show, and I feel bad. Hold on, let me see. Fennec?
Fennec, okay.
Yeah, Fennec.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, just,
I will never remember that. I feel so bad. But it's like, the face, the story, so it's fine. But like, gosh.
Like,
so
we
many.
just wanted to see, them be reintroduced. And we wanted to see them do stuff. That's all we want. That's all we got. So it's cool. And, yeah, like... that entire action sequence, like especially when Boba, put his armor back on, like just it just felt right. It felt good. But then, the Razor Crest exploded.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Like very exploded. like it was just like, oh, which kind of does make sense because you feel like at this point something like that would probably happen. Like they have the firepower.
Mm-hmm.
It's like why you should it's kind of like you get rid of the getaway vehicle. Like it wouldn't make sense. They wouldn't be able to get away and catch up. It just
and
the ship.
And they put those dark troopers down, and man, do they look good! Like
they look.
Like I got like a huge Terminator vibe from them. I think that was intentional, but like just
absolutely, especially in the finale.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No,
Like,
but really, yeah, really cool. They just kind of come down, like very no nonsense. Come down, grab the kid, go. I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get to see a little more of what they could do, maybe in that episode.
yeah, like I think I think it would have been fine because Mando he for some reason didn't have his jetpack. He like put it down when he was talking to
Yeah,
Boba. I think it would have been perfectly fine for him to try to fly after them and then just like shoot them down or something, or like him try to confront them and then just like not budge and just, like kick
yeah,
him or
or like
something
yeah,
like
or like yeah. I would have liked it. Like he like flies up to go after him. He just gets like backhanded by one and just like flies straight down. You know what I'm
yes,
saying? Like gets destroyed, gets
yeah,
wasted.
because I feel there could have been a better way to show the audience like 'cause otherwise him not having a jetpack just seems a little contrived,
Right.
but you could have made it work with him having a jetpack and still not get Grogu back, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, but it's like it's whatever. Um, the next episode, I wasn't when I first saw that Bill Burr's character from season one was coming back in it. I wasn't super excited because I don't like Bill Burr all that much. I just think he's not a great actor. I just think I don't love his comedy all that much. Like it's just not my vibe. Like whatever. Um, but that episode with him was actually pretty good.
Right. It was solid. Yeah, I liked it. It was very cool, and it was very much the whole seeing from the enemy's perspective episode. I
Yes.
always love those episodes, kind of like the
Yes.
beach and Avatar. I always like
Hmm.
those kind of episodes.
To the point where, they're protecting that one cargo. After just 4 waves of bad guys, the Mandalorian's about to go for one more round, and then you see the TIE fighters come in and shoot them. And in any other instance of something like this happening, you would hear the da 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 da, and like as the X-wings come down and
Mm-hmm.
blast. But these are TIE fighters, and it's like you feel like this triumphant moment of them protecting your hero, but they're the bad guys.
Right.
And it just feels so weird, and like you're feeling just as awkward as Mando is in this scenario. It's like what? Like, do we cheer? Do we like?
Yeah.
They won, but is it good that they won? Like, do we?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They like get out of the thing, and like the stormtroopers are like, "What's up?" giving high
Yeah.
fives, and it's just so like, where are we? Like
Uh-huh.
Twilight Zone-ish. Like, oh, that was so
And
cool.
then that the scene where Mando obviously doesn't have his helmet on, just so good. But then
Hmm.
him, that one officer guy, and Bill Burr talking at that table was literal perfection. Like you got to hear just like how the Empire views their past, how like they think what they're doing is for the greater good or whatever. How Bill Burr, who you kind of thought is like a bad guy up to this point, kind of changing his views on stuff. Mando just
Hmm.
being completely silent, like out of his element, like he doesn't have his helmet on. He doesn't want to be. He doesn't like want to. Just I completely understood like everyone's positions there. Yeah, like right after that fantastic scene, just everything goes down. Then have to shoot their way out of this entire building. Like that's what you want out of a show like this. It was so
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, like they're like going up the scale of the building, and then they get, then Cara Dune and all of them are sniping them down the side. These stormtroopers do the falling down. It's just like
And,
there's something about it. You just love it.
oh yeah, I love it. I and I just loved how Gina, whatever her name, Cara Dune and Fennec, yeah, like
Yeah.
you hadn't seen these two characters interact before now, but they were just so natural. Like they don't have them talk a lot anyway, so like them, it was just felt so natural. Them just like working together so well. It just felt
Right.
really good. I also really liked how during that scene, Mando and Bill Burr, they were in outfits that you usually don't see them in, but they were because up until that point, they were dressed as the truck drivers, but all those other stormtroopers and other people in that facility were either as scout trooper helmets on or just normal stormtroopers. So it was still, even though they aren't dressed how you normally expect, it was still communicated to the audience that, these guys are the good guys, even though they look like bad guys. I thought that was very, very good.
Yeah, they stick out anyway, which is still kind of cool.
And I don't think I've ever fanboy momented over something from the prequels nearly as hard as I did when Boba Fett launched that seismic bomb. Like,
so satisfying.
So satisfying.
Yeah. And, think about it, it was so unnecessary too, because there's like what, two TIE fighters,
TIE
like
fighters.
easily.
His guns could turn around backwards. Like, we see him do that in the later episode. But like, they knew that the fans would at some point want to see Boba Fett use a seismic bomb just to hear that sound again. Just because, why not?
A good sound. Like, it's like that sound and like any lightsaber trigger, it's like the best sound. Like, it's just like, oh, so exciting.
Like, literally, as they're flying away, like the TIE fighters are flying after him, and like, oh, we'll finally get to see Slave One take out some TIE fighters. Oh, but he's not in front of them. Wait a minute, and then it can't. Oh my god! It's so cool.
Like, oh, it's so awesome.
Not to mention, Boba Fett's armor in that episode, like, it cleaned up and shiny, looked fantastic.
Right?
Like, that's a good color of green. Like, I think that's like similar color to the green shirt I'm wearing right now. It's very, very good.
It just looks really clean. It looks so clean, so good. And like, I know some people are like, "Why did he clean his armor?" It's like, well, if someone stole your armor and wore it for a while that you didn't know after, the whole Sarlacc thing, I'd probably want to watch it too. I mean,
yeah, like, just literally every single thing about Boba Fett in this entire season just was basically flawless. Like, I just Like, it was fan service, but not like overly so. It was just this character existing in a way that you've always kind of wanted him to, but kind of like not to the point where he outshined the Mandalorian. Like, he's just like another person who's just good at what he does. I love it.
Yeah, and I think they made a good point to make him kind of the pilot guy, just to kind of, because they are very similar in like their weapons, obviously how they look and stuff like that. So I think it was a very point made to make him he's gonna be more the pilot guy versus just two Mandalorians kind of doing the same thing.
Something you said kind of reminded me of probably my favorite line in this entire season was they're going the main troop and what's the name, Bill Burr, are kind of going over the plan. They're trying to decide who's going to take over the shipment, because Mando didn't want to take his helmet off. So he's like, Boba Fett, why don't you do it? And then Boba Fett goes, I think they would recognize my face. And that is so good on so many levels. A, he's Boba Fett, so he's worked with the Empire before, but also he's a clone. He's a clone.
No, and like I was gonna bring up the point where in the next episode where Bo-Katan talks about, like she immediately recognizes his voice and everything, which also makes a ton of sense.
Yes.
Which is like, I didn't even think of, like, because you don't think about that, because like, until this point, Boba Fett had never been connected to that. But it's like, oh yeah, obviously it makes of course he has the same voice as every other clone in the galaxy. But like, that makes sense. She was there. She knows. Like, she gets it. I heard your voice 1,000 times, and
there are thousands just like you before. Like, oh my, like, it's so. Again, like, they respect that the prequels exist, and they take the parts that are actually good and make sense, and use them to their logical extreme. I love it.
So smart, dude.
Just everything about the directing, and just because also the scene, like during the scene where Mando had his helmet off, just like the way he acted, it was almost as if he was still wearing a helmet. Like, whenever he had to look at something, he would always like turn his entire head, kind of like Batman in the older movies. Like, he'd turn his entire head. He would never he would never just like look with his eyes. He would always turn to see it, and that just it just felt so right. Like,
And he never kind of like used like facial cues or body like either, because with the freaking out, he would never that would never come up. So
yeah.
that's I didn't even think about until it was pointed out. Someone pointed that out, and I was like, that's actually really smart, because like if you wore a full helmet the entire time, it would make no sense for you to like make like like ever like do like an eyebrow twitch or anything, because like no one's gonna see it.
Mm-hmm. It's like currently, because of the pandemic, we have to wear masks all the time. I still constantly like do stuff with my mouth, like
Right.
just like kind of like smile or like do, or like kind of like if I'm making jokes, like mouth something, even though like they can't see it.
Yeah. Just unconsciously do it anyway. Like, yeah.
Or especially like if I'm ever like talking on the phone with like whoever, like I talk with my hands a lot in general. I still talk with my hands a lot if I'm on the phone, even though they can't see it.
You like explain. Yeah, I do that. Like, so like I'll be on the phone. I'm just like, yeah, you got to make sure you get it going and make sure everything's going. It's just like,
Or like I
what?
point at
This
stuff
isn't
like
FaceTime.
if I'm at work and I'm directing like where people need to go on the phone, like it's past the gift shop down that way. I literally do that motion while on the phone.
Humans
I
are
don't know where I'm pointing. But like Mando doesn't have to worry about that because he takes off his mask. But yeah, all of that was great. All of those 7 episodes were great. I still personally feel that the Ahsoka episode is my personal favorite, but I don't think it was the best episode. Maybe like top 2 for sure, but the
Oh yeah.
best episode was the last episode.
Oh, like
Just talk about a culmination. Like, oh my goodness.
so much happened.
Like, I know,
So much.
I kind of like made a joke about the episode that reintroduced Boba Fett being just like, like 10 minutes of nothing and then 12 minutes of action. This was 40 minutes of action. Like, it was just
Yeah, the opposite.
so
Going.
solid the entire time. Like, just everything you wanted out of the show up to this point was there, and it was great.
Yeah. I like how like there was a little bit of like at the beginning there's a little bit of a peek and back into like Cara Dune's whole origin with Alderaan and everything, and that whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who's like the guy who's like obviously baiting her but has a hostage, which is kind of smart, but at the same time kind of dumb. But like
she literally wouldn't be in the position she is right now if she wasn't a good shot, at least half decent shot. So
right.
like,
but they know like it's like, oh, but would she risk it? Because if she does miss and hits the guy, then but I'm like, also Mando's right there. He's got a better angle than she does, so like, it kind of makes sense why he's baiting her specifically. But still, let's like, they're the good guys. You don't bait the good guys, but no, and they had a good plan. Like, the whole like, take an Imperial shuttle, make it look like it's under distress. No one's gonna remember that Boba Fett ship. It's all good. And then, just kind of make it look like they're doing an emergency landing. Like that was kind of smart. I never thought of anything like that. That was actually kind of smart.
Yeah, like. Yeah, it was good. And then one kind of goofy thing that like I feel they do a lot in Star Wars specifically is when they're fighting, just they're fighting through like a group of droids or stormtroopers or whatever, and they like punch them or beat them with the butt of their gun, and then shoot them anyway.
Well, you gotta make sure they're dead.
But no, like why not just shoot them in the first place? Like why bother like going around the corner like strangling them, like beating them on the ground and then shooting them? Why not just turn and go bam? Like why? It's one thing to like knock the gun away and then shoot. Like multiple times, Fennec would like knock the gun out, like grab them by the leg and or like use her legs to like strangle them and like flip them around and then like shoot them anywhere on the ground. Like why? You're a good shot.
Yeah. It's like you could just shoot him. It's like but I mean, would it have looked as cool if I just
No.
shot everyone and didn't do like flips and bust people in the face? Like,
No.
but no, I totally get it.
Or like Mando constantly like he would. There was a couple of times throughout the entire series where he'll like shoot out the grappling hook to tie people up and then kill them. Like if you're able to, why not just use one of your wrist blasters? Just go like, why not just shoot them if you have that angle?
Set them on fire or like any other thing you have. Like,
whatever. Like it looked cool. It did. It's just something that's kind of goofy about the entire series, but just
it's just a Star Wars thing. It's awesome.
Yeah, but just this entire season was so good about seeing characters who you know can kick butt, just allowing them to kick butt. Like that entire episode was just them just going ham on people that you wanted to see dead anyway. Like it's so good.
Yeah, and it's great because like you see, it's a very much like letting like the thing like for a little bit letting some part the whole like writing part kind of just get out of the way. It's it's kind of one of those scenes where they write and then they kill everyone. Like
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
There
like,
are certain scenes where that can work. On Obi-Wan versus Anakin in episode 3 doesn't work. This scene, sure. Then they fight.
Yeah. And then they fight. You can't just like I thought it was really
there's no character development here. You already know who these people are. Just shoot people till they're dead.
Everyone's motivation is clear. You don't need to explain. Like it's very much like here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And and I thought it was and I also thought it was really cool how like they had they did have the like all girl team squad because Mando's doing his thing, Boba's still flying the ship, but like they had like the all girls team squad, but it was like very not forced.
Yes,
it made 100% sense why it was that way, just because other people are doing other things, and it didn't do the whole like end game thing where like you stop and take like 5 seconds to look at every person and be like, this is like girl power. It's like, dude, we know they can kick butt already. We've seen them do it before.
I have a very love-hate relationship with that scene specifically because I like the concept a lot because the A team or A Force whatever is a thing in Marvel where is an all-girl superhero team, so why not at least reference that? But we already had a scene earlier in that movie where all the Avengers lined up together, so having 6 girls line up together, it's not very impressive. And also the fact that Captain Marvel is the one who's like requesting help, but she could just do it herself anyway. Like if it was Nebula and then all of them lined up, sure, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny because it was like literally like 5 minutes ago she just flew through a giant spaceship and the spaceship died.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh yeah, let me get an escort of other not as powerful as me Avengers, maybe Scarlet Witch, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's really not necessary. Like, this was so unnecessary.
And also, it's one of those scenes that, like, it's kind of hard to defend. Like, I like the scene to an extent, but it's kind of hard to defend because, like, that's one scene that, like, people really point at when they say they don't like Endgame. It's like, this scene sucks. Like, yes, we get it. Black Widow should have been there, but whatever. Like, we get it. but like, whatever. Like, they did it. The scene in Mandalorian felt like not that, so it was good.
Right?
Yeah.
It was very, it was very, and then it was very like nonchalant, like, all right, let's just kick butt, do something. And you were so interested in the action and like just them doing stuff that you didn't even like notice. Because I legit didn't even notice. I remember.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah.
It might help that 2 of them have helmets on, so you just kind of.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I didn't think about that, but yeah.
But you're right. Yeah. And then, like, the scene where they activated the Dark Troopers, it legitimately felt like the music that was playing felt like something right out of Terminator 2. Like, it just felt so just impactful and intimidating. Like,
and like see the meters rising as they're going through. It's like, okay, guys, this is great, but hurry up. We don't need style points. We gotta hurry up. Like,
and as soon as Mando like launched them out of the air duct, I'm like, they have jetpacks. They're gonna come back.
I legit was like, great, we did. Like, I was the guy who was like, oh, all right, we avoided that crisis. Like, great. Like, because I remember thinking, oh, so I was like, okay, cool. We guess, I forgot there were droids that could fly and they were competent. So, like, I was just kind of like, oh, crap. when they came back. But I was also thinking, wait, we're in on the bridge. Can't we just like jump for hyperspace for like half a second, and then they'll never catch us? But like hindsight, I don't know, or maybe it just takes too long to go to hyperspace. But
Maybe.
no,
It is kind of funny though that at this point in the Star Wars timeline, they kind of came full circle where they're doing cloning and droid stuff again.
right, right. And now the droids are the scary ones.
Yeah. Like,
what happened to B1 battle droids?
like it legitimately felt like you're at the, like you're at the end of a, like let's say it felt like a Zelda game where at the very end you're at the end boss. You're Link fighting Ganondorf at the very end of the game, and you're trying every single weapon you have. Your regular sword, boomerang, arrows just don't work on this guy. You're setting him on fire. It doesn't work. And then Zelda comes in. Oh, I have light arrows. Got him. Beskar staff. Just bam. Like, okay.
Like, whatever, as long as it works.
Because like those whistling birds were seen to be the trump cards throughout the entire series. Did maybe some chip damage, but nothing else.
Nothing. Like, that's and that was kind of like that, and also like the setting it on fire, like, and not like outward, like under the armor, basically.
You only made me look cooler.
Yeah, like right, like point blank, set it on fire. Nothing. I was like, all right, we're in trouble. Like, and I love how just kind of like Terminator, just kind of grabs the doors slowly, pulls it off, just kind of like, oh crap, like that was not good. And yeah, if it like, he was getting handed to him, like getting his butt handed to him, but by just one for the longest time. And like, I love how like the armor's so strong, it puts a dent in the wall, not the other way around.
Yes.
Which is like, that is very helpful, but man, if this armor wasn't upgraded, I'd be so dead. Like, goodness gracious.
Oh, and then his fight with Gideon, like, you wanted to see the Darksaber in action this whole time, and like, yeah, like, Darksaber versus Beskar staff fight, just it was kind of the thing where you kind of got the sense that Moff Gideon has been doing this for a while, so it makes complete sense that he would be kind of on the same level as this Mandalorian. Like, just give him a Darksaber and he's the boss. Like, I love that.
Yeah, like obviously he's a little older, doesn't have the armor, the same other equipment, but like
still has the skill.
Still pretty handy with a sword. Yeah.
And then the reveal that oh no, I forgot her name. The main Mandalorian chick. What's her name?
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, yeah. Like, she wanted to beat Moff Gideon because she lost the Darksaber to him, so she felt like she needed to regain her honor by beating him. But because Mando beat him, she can't take it. Like, that's kind of corny, but I kind of like it.
It's a little corny, and there's some stuff in Rebels that's kind of like, is that actually legit?
Yeah, because didn't
Satine
Satine just give it
I'll
to
let
him?
It slide.
Yeah, Satine just gave it to her.
Right. We're just kind of just like, all right, like, okay, that's cool, but like, and then like, but I thought the funniest thing ever when he's like, you have to win it by combat, and he's just like, I yield.
I can see
like, he was very much like, I just beat this guy up. I'm very tired. Like, I just got a Dark Trooper. And I had to beat Moff Gideon. I just want to go home with the kids. Like, you can take your stupid dark. Like the amount of, you could just feel the done in his voice. Like, he was just like, oh man.
Yep. But then all the Dark Troopers just coming back on. There's like
I legit forgot they could fly. Like, oh crap, they can fly. I was like, what? More? I was like, oh no, and they're droids, so like they don't need to breathe. I was like, oh no.
Although there have been times in Clone Wars where they jettison droids into space and they just freeze up or whatever, but these, you can't set fire to them, so why would the vacuum of space do anything?
Like, nothing else hurts them, so why would that even bother? Like,
yeah. But man, like, I so wish this hadn't gotten spoiled for me.
Oh no!
It was one of those things, like, we all knew it was going to happen. Like it was only that was the only logical next. It was either him or Ezra, like only the two options.
Right.
But really, it was really only Luke because, like, I feel like that's the only thing that could, where it would feel justified for him to I don't know. It just kind of the way things were going. It just really only made sense to be Luke. But it just still felt so epic just to see Red 5 come in. And it's like, only one X-Wing, okay. But like
oh, we're saved. It's like, no, let's
but
not
like
just
but Grogu being like, oh, like just like looking around like, I can sense him, he's here. And then all the Dark Troopers like turn around, it's like, what is that? And then every single person who hates The Last Jedi because Luke didn't get a Darth Vader moment in The Last Jedi. You know, Darth Vader's scene from Rogue One in The Last Jedi. Can you quietly please shut up because this exists?
I love the perspective of like watching it on the screen along with everyone else, just like, oh, oh my god, and I thought that was so satisfying because like we had seen like Mando just got his butt handed to him by one. He just takes a whole squadron like it's nothing, just casually walking down the hallway, slice here.
Moff Gideon just looking terrified the entire time.
Yes. Like he has that look like, oh, this is bad. Because it's not just a Jedi. It's the Jedi. Because, like, Moff Gideon knows. Like, the Luke Skywalker is that dude at this point. Like, everyone knows that guy. Like, it's not just, like, some rebel guy. It's, like, the dude. Like, it's not some rebel scum. It's, like, this guy's got 2 Death Stars, the Emperor, and Darth Vader, all in, like, a couple years. Like, this guy's no joke. Like, I mean, you like, oh my gosh, and
took
just
down Jabba, like just so much stuff. Like
everybody, this guy is literally just like.
I mean, well, if you think about it, like most of his accomplishments were like other people that were with him kind of did it for him. Because Vader kind of killed himself, and he also killed the Emperor, but Luke was there, so you know.
I mean, like, but as far as they know, because I mean, they don't know Darth Vader had to come back to the light moment and all that stuff. For all they know, he took them both out and blew the Death Star up on his way out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
while he was going back to his ship, oh, here's the core. Let me just
unplug that.
Let me just nope. Again, because I can. So, like, yeah, Luke Skywalker is as advertised 1,000% in this. It's ridiculous. And he has that Darth Vader moment, and because it's droids, it's just like...
You can just cut them to pieces and it's fine.
Yeah, like, no regard for anything. Just cut them to pieces. And I love how, like, he's not even trying.
Yep.
Like, I thought that was, like, the best. Like, he's literally just walking and just, like, slightly moving, slice... Force push, slice,
block,
crush, block. Like didn't even
turns and yeah.
Yeah, like it's so great because like you think about like especially his fight in Jedi with Vader, how he's like very like animated with his swings and everything, and like here he's just so calm, like no fear whatsoever, just walking his way through these like this army of Terminators. Ugh.
And you know what the funny part is? The Luke Skywalker in that scene and the Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi can coexist simultaneously without it being a plot hole. Because I thought this scene, this entire sequence leading into him taking Grogu with him, that it perfectly explains why what happened in The Last Jedi happened. Because I felt if this line in particular... He said to the Mandalorian, I will protect him with my life. Let's assume for the moment that he says that to every single parent of younglings that he's collected throughout this entire time leading up to what happens in The Last Jedi. Or right before the sequel trilogy. Assuming that happens, and then he had the opportunity to stop his nephew from going to the dark side. and he didn't do it. And then that moment led his nephew to the dark side, and then murdered or turned the rest of his disciples, whatever they're called, students. That's the word. The students. I couldn't think of words. I graduated. Okay, that's fine. Kylo Ren then killed or turned all of his students to the dark side. Yeah, he said he would protect them all with his life. You could understand why this Luke, the one that destroyed an entire hallway of Terminator droids, would then become a recluse and not want anything to do with anything anymore. They can coexist. Fight me.
Right. And there's been a long enough time where that could have, you know what I'm saying? It's been a while. Because like, this is right after, you know, this is only a handful of years after Jedi. Obviously, this is like, what, like 30 years after, something like that, or more?
Yeah, this is about 5 years after, so it's about 15 to 20 years before the Kylo Ren becoming Kylo Ren thing happens. And then about 5 years after that is when The Last Jedi happens. So,
okay.
Yeah,
so yeah, it's been a hot second, so
yeah.
It makes sense.
So, yeah, like, people are trying to say, like, this is what Luke Skywalker should have been in The Last Jedi. Like, because of what we were told in Force Awakens. We were literally told in The Force Awakens that he failed one of his students and just turned away from everything. Because that happened, he is how he is in The Last Jedi, and these two things can coexist. Like, it makes complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's like kind of like, and I understand the like, I'm saying this because again, this is what we wanted to see in the movie, and I get that because that would have been awesome also. But hey, I mean, for what the character they were going for, that's what, you know, and that does make sense. It's not maybe what everyone loves, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
But
regardless, you did finally get this kind of scene in live action with Mark Hamill voicing him. Like, it works.
Yeah, it was great. I mean,
it's not a plot hole. It's just it's furthering the story in a logical way. And I thought it was great. Hopefully he finishes Grogu's training within 10 to 15 years. So, you know, he'll be not there when that happens.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing we have to like, you know, with like, so did he get wasted or, you know, it's like, let's just kind of hope we don't have to go.
I have a very strong feeling Grogu's not done in The Mandalorian. I have a very, very strong feeling that in some point in season 3 he's gonna like come back to Mando somehow.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, they're not just gonna let him go. I mean, this guy's literally like he is the biggest, I guess, property coming out of the show more than less.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're not gonna just let him go.
Like when R2 and Grogu like had the little conversation, my brother turned to me and was like, hey, look, it's probably the two characters that have probably sold the most merchandise in the same room.
Yep.
Outside of like maybe physical lightsaber sales, Grogu and R2D2 stuff are probably the most.
Probably, yeah. Like by a wall, and probably not even like, especially now, like probably not even close.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, we'll see where that goes. They probably are gonna come back. You know, it probably is gonna come back to it because you know, there's no way they're gonna just have, you know, because like. They've already confirmed a season 3 for Mando.
They've confirmed a season 3, but first we have the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes, we do.
Like, I never thought that. Oh, I had his name earlier today. What is it?
Freaking.
Oh no. There was the B maybe.
You mean Boba Fett, right?
No, the Twilight guy who's Jabba's right-hand man.
Shoot. I have no idea what his name is.
It's really cool sounding. Oh no, I had it earlier today.
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna. Yep. I never thought I would see Bib Fortuna again, of all people. But
Oh, buddy has been on the Jabba diet, first of all.
Yeah.
So I don't
He
blame
hasn't
him. He's
moved out
living
of that
good.
chair in 5 years.
Oh man, that was wild.
And I loved how like Boba just struts in. He's like, Boba, it's been so long. I
Eh,
thought you died. How's it going?
yeah, I heard rumors that you gone, and like didn't even like. Ugh, I love that dude. He just like doesn't. He like does not even
Yeah.
like. No, it's
And
great.
because that show exists, I am perfectly okay with them not explaining how we got out of the Sarlacc pit in this season. I was hoping there'd at least one kind of off, like, kind of one-off line about him getting out, but like, I'm sure that'll be explained in his show.
Yeah.
And it might even be a thing where it's like the Mandalorian presents the Book of Boba Fett, because he's still a Mandalorian, so might as well keep the brand name.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Like, is it gonna be passed on now? He's the Mandalorian. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now
Yeah.
he's the Mandalorian we're following. That was something that I had thought about, but I was like, no, they wouldn't do that.
Yeah, there's still plenty of story left in the Mandalorian to, like, with Bo-Katan, like they're gonna fight at some point over the Darksaber probably, or try to determine like who's the true heir of Mandalore. There's still the stuff with the Snoke clones to deal with. I'm sure Moff Gideon isn't done yet. Like there's
Oh
still
no, he'll be back.
New threats. Like there's still plenty of stuff to explore in the series, and I think like season 3 is also gonna be something special. Like I have no reason to doubt that it's gonna be good.
Yeah, no, they've been nothing but been phenomenal this whole time, so there's no reason that it wouldn't be now.
Exactly.
No, it's gonna be. It's pretty exciting. I'm not gonna lie, but I guess my biggest thing, yeah, it's like where to now is kind of the biggest thing. It's like, all right, now what?
Yeah.
That was our whole thing going in, but like now we have, we still got a whole show to do.
Yeah.
Like we got a whole season of show to do. So what are we gonna do exactly? But we'll figure something
But
out.
yeah,
I'm sure.
I loved season 2. I thought it was as good or better than season 1. Like, it was great. So I do have a couple other. Like, do you have anything else you want to say about season 2 Mandalorian?
I know they didn't. Yeah, I know they didn't show it, but at some point, I forget her name. Boba's the assassin chick with Boba had to like get on Boba's ship, and like, so you think they just waited for Luke to leave so he doesn't see Boba Fett again?
I guess.
Because that would have been like a, hey, don't I know you from somewhere?
Yeah.
Like, it's like that could have been just like aren't you the guy that like definitely tried to kill me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, aren't you the guy who definitely tried to kill me first? Well,
Yeah,
like I don't,
yeah.
like I don't know. That would have. I like maybe like one little exchange would have been that, or maybe if Boba saw him or something. I don't know.
I mean, we have opportunities for that in his own show.
That's true.
Like
That's
there's
true.
Yeah.
Let me stop nitpicking.
Who knows? We could get an entire show that's a buddy cop movie with them too. Because why not? They're panning out, so why not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. They could be anything. But just Moff Gideon. Yeah, but just great show, great ending. Like that was one of the strongest season finales I've seen for anything in a long time.
So yeah, we do have a couple other topics I want to cover real quick before we leave. I know we talked about that for over an hour, but it's fine. It's great.
It was a whole season. It was worth it.
Like I said, it's probably the last episode of this season, I guess. So might as well keep on going with the fact that apparently, in response to Warner Brothers deciding to put all of their movies on HBO Max, theaters are threatening to slash movie ticket prices for Warner Brothers movies so low that they barely make any profit.
Ooh.
Because apparently the way ticket prices
Go
hold that thought for just a second. Just kind of the way ticket prices work is that I think 10% ish of every ticket sold goes to the movie theater, the rest goes to the production studio. So if they cut it down to like $5 a movie, that's nothing. so yeah, that anyway, you're saying?
I don't think they can do. I don't think that's a good idea at all for the movies. I mean, I mean, like, I get you're trying to like, I guess, protest more or less, but like, you will go bankrupt. Like,
will they though?
Because
will they? Because let's assume for the moment that Warner Brothers movies do still show in theaters. Yet every movie ticket is like $5. And Warner Brothers is like, we're still getting stuff from HBO Max. Like, we're making a very slim margin, but it's something, like, whatever, we'll take it. Assuming they still show movies in movie theaters, all this will do is just drive more business to the movie theaters in order to get a $5 ticket to see Dune. And then because that ticket price is so low, you won't feel as bad about buying, $15 worth of popcorn and candy.
Oh, that is true. Cause that is 100% theirs.
Yes.
Ooh. Now that you say that, that does kind of change my initial thought. Mm-hmm. But it's still risky though, because
this is only assuming
this doesn't
exactly
right. Yeah, like this is very like if this doesn't work, you are done forever. Like this is extremely risky because if they just decide, you know what, we're gonna, if Warner Brothers is like, you know what, forget you, we'll just do it all on streaming. You get none of our big movies, and then, which granted, most of the big movies these days are Disney movies anyway, but Warner Brothers is still ginormous.
Yeah.
But like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's very risky because if movies start pulling out from theaters, then all you can do is show like maybe old movies, which would be cool, but not nearly as much profit, and then that would just kind of circle the drain at that point. Yep. So this is risky. I feel like I admire the boldness, but trying to bully back against the bigger fish is definitely has its potential risk. Yep. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm hoping for movie theaters just because I want movies. I like movies in the movie theaters, but I mean, it's risky.
Yeah. Like I said, it could work out for them if Warner Brothers does decide to stick around. But depending on how well Wonder Woman does and how well their movies do going forward on HBO Max, it easily could just be Warner Brothers just decides we don't need you, and then it won't go well for them.
Well, my thing is like, is it really going to be the same? Because like watching Wonder Woman at home. Like, granted, I know movie theaters aren't really open, like, now it's not really the time, but, like, going forward, assuming things kind of get back to normal, there's no way I'm watching it at home versus in theaters. There's no chance. Like, that just ruins the aspect. And I think for the bigger movies, I think the movie theaters know that, especially when, like, movies start first coming out, everyone's going to be going out to see the movies. Everybody. People that don't even go to the movies are going. So, like, I think that's what they're banking on, that initial surge. But one, we don't know how long that's going to be, and two, if more people follow and with Warner Brothers, then they're in serious trouble. But I think this is an opportunity for like other businesses to kind of side with the movie theaters in order to get a jump on Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Like other kind of smaller studios could license some older movies to put in their place. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if there's really a market for that. I don't know. Like it's really dicey just how movie theaters are going to go going forward, especially if they do insist on also blacklisting. Universal Studios as well, like they said they were going to.
Because if you make too many enemies, it's not going to work, especially when they're all bigger than you.
Yep.
But I'm just hoping that movie theaters don't go extinct because I miss movies so much.
Well, yeah. But at least, we do have HBO Max. That'll at least, have movies there to see if movie theaters do go down. At least there will still be movies to watch. like the Snyder Cut. It's apparently the first, at least first part of it, is coming in March 2021. So
the first part of it, like, how is this working again?
I think they said that it's still coming out in like 4 parts or like 6 parts or something like that.
Why?
I don't know.
It's a movie.
Yep.
That doesn't really. I don't
know.
If it's all the same movie, I don't see how that works. I understand the logic is to keep people on for just like a week.
But that seems compromised. That would seem like it's compromising his vision, but I don't know.
Well, now I'm not gonna care until it's all out.
Yes.
Like, I'm not gonna just watch
the spoiled.
Right, exactly. Like, there's gonna be spoilers. Not that, I mean, the movie already exists. I mean, somewhat, and I mean, we already pretty much saw a lot of what's already happened, or at least kind of. But like, I don't know. Like, I don't care about spoilers, but if I did, I feel like that's really stupid. But
yeah,
I understand it's more about the money. I feel so.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. I'm just ready for it to be out, to see it. Hopefully, people shut up about it once it's finally out.
Everyone's gonna, they're gonna love it no matter what. It could literally be Zack Snyder just sitting on a toilet for 4 hours, and everyone be like, "This is the greatest movie I've ever seen." But here we go.
So, kind of springboarding off that, it's time for more Snyder snarks.
You love saying that, don't you?
I do. I really do. So, yeah, this is a segment dedicated entirely to a single topic from a Zack Snyder DC movie that I feel proves that Zack Snyder doesn't know what he's doing when it comes to these movies. And, like I said before, if something in the Snyder Cut makes me actually think that Snyder does know what he's doing and actually cares about these characters, I will delete my channel. But until then, I will bring this up every single week if possible. So, starting this, I'm just going to ask you a series of questions, okay?
Okay.
Ready? Can you name all the members that were all of the founding members of the DC animated Justice League cartoon?
Yes. It's like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Martian Manhunter.
Okay, cool. Can you name all of the members of the New 52 Justice League? Founding members.
Okay, so I know obviously you still got the big three: Flash, Green Lantern. I know it's Cyborg, I'm pretty sure, for some reason, which I still don't agree with, but whatever.
Yep.
I think Aquaman also? No, not Aquaman.
Not in the first one.
Okay.
There is a seventh.
It's Shazam, isn't it?
Shazam, yes.
Shazam, yeah. Oh, there's one of them that probably shouldn't be there, but is, other than Cyborg.
Can you name all of the members of the original Justice Society of America?
Oh, no.
Okay, that's fine.
No, I already know I can't do that.
It's fine.
Like, I'm pretty sure it's like Batman and Robin somehow. And like other people. Like,
it's Dr. Fate, Hourman, Spectre, Sandman, Atom, Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman.
Yeah, no, there was no way I was getting that at all.
And then the original members of the original Justice League of America was all the ones from the cartoon, except for Aquaman instead of Hawkgirl.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I asked you those questions just to kind of prove a point that every single incarnation of the Justice League has had at least 7 members. There has always been at least 7 members of the Justice League, at least when it starts. Why on earth was the plan for this Justice League to have only 6 members? You don't have a anyone who's green. You don't have Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter. You don't have a Hawk. You don't have the Atom. You don't even have Shazam, who was already planned to be getting his own movie shortly after. Just throw him in there. Why not? Like, every single instance of the Justice League has had at least 7 members, and you just said, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I understand, like, the Green Lantern. Like, I know, like, they had the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern was, among other things, a big flop. But, like, I don't get not having a Green Lantern. Like, I don't, because, like, there's always, like, you said in the, like, the 40s or whatever, there was a Green Lantern. Like, like.
Green Lantern's been very consistent.
Yeah, and, like, granted, his powers or his, whoever is the Green Lantern has always kind of, But, I mean, there's, like, so many different Green Lanterns you could go for.
Yep.
You could, you know what? Maybe this time we get Guy Gardner. Like, who cares? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Whatever,
I just want somebody with a power ring.
Yeah.
Like,
and I just, like, that movie probably would have been better with a 7th person there to just kind of balance out the group. And B, like I said, it's a tradition that the Justice League always has 7 people. So, and why was Aquaman prioritized over either a Hawk or a green person? I don't get it.
Because Jason Momoa. Because, I mean, honestly, I understand their movies. So, like, certain actors and actresses are going to be prioritized, just like how, for some reason we've got, like, 3 Harley Quinn movies, basically.
Yes, pretty much, yeah.
But it's like, you can't make that, the whole reason behind what characters you have. I feel like that kind of,
yeah,
it kind of doesn't prioritize what's as important thematically.
And there are some people who try to say that, either a Martian Manhunter or a Green Lantern was originally going to be in Justice League, but they were cut at the last minute. I don't believe you, because of the way the Justice League members were introduced in Batman v Superman. It was very deliberate. You already had Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and then on that stupid flash drive, email, whatever, that Batman just sent Wonder Woman for some reason to stop the movie to advertise your next movie.
Yeah, there was no one else on there.
They introduced Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman, and no one else. So I can only believe that it was going to be those 6 moving forward. Like, why? But that just, I don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, like, I will say this. Like, personally, I don't think the number of people you have is, like, a giant deal. I see your point, but at the same time, like, I'm kind of, it's kind of like, my thing is, like, if you did it right in terms of, like, doing the characters, I wouldn't have even cared or probably wouldn't even noticed. But it's kind of like, when you don't, it's like, when you don't get, like, the big stuff, I also notice the little things you don't get to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Like, I think it's even worse because these characters weren't introduced in their own movies and then came together in their own, like, in the Justice League. They were all very sloppily introduced just randomly in the middle of this movie. Like, Aquaman just shows up out of nowhere, Flash just exists. Like, it's just so, it could have been
there.
Yeah. So if you already knew who these people were and it just so happened that only 6 people were introduced at this point, it also kind of feels like they maybe chose the number 6 because the first Avengers movie only had 6.
Oh, what? You're telling me they're copying the other? No, they would never do that. But I mean,
and also if you had like Green Lantern, if you had a Green Lantern, let's say even instead of Aquaman, just because Aquaman is hardly ever actually a part of the Justice League at first, it would have diversified the power set a bit, because right now Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Superman just kind of feel very samey.
Which shouldn't even be
but
right, because it's like, bro, like.
And like,
but anyway, continue. Sorry.
I get that if Martian Manhunter or Hawkman / Hawkwoman was there, they would kind of fill a similar role that Wonder Woman does, or Martian Manhunter was Superman. But at least Green Lantern, or even Atom, the Atom would have been also pretty cool there. But like,
right.
I don't know. I feel like this is the kind of thing that just kind of proves to me that Zack Snyder just really, really wanted to make a movie with a lot of like cool actors in it, and didn't stop to think, how does this make sense? Like, does the source material back this up? Could he just not find a seventh person to fill the league? Did he just not? Did he why would you prioritize Aquaman over other people? Especially since you are pulling primarily from New 52 stuff, why not just have Shazam if that movie is already in pre-production? I don't get it.
Yeah, I kind of don't. Yeah, because that would have made a lot of sense to actually have Shazam also. And although I think his character was good, I don't know how that would have gone in that movie, because I feel like they were really trying to push Flash as the comic relief, even though he wasn't really funny. But
their characters would have been very similar, I guess.
Right.
But see, the thing is, you can have in most instances of the Justice League coming together, you have 7 individuals and they all feel very distinct. Even if they have similar power sets, Diana and Hawkwoman feel very different. Like, they both have very different ideals, different fighting styles, different just way of acting, just in general. Like, you can even have them both on the screen together, even though they're both mythical beings or whatever, who use metal weapons to kill things and can fly. Like, they still theoretically should feel very different than each other, and it could work. Yet,
right. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I don't know. Maybe another member will just magically show up in the Snyder Cut and it'll fix everything. I doubt it, but it could happen.
They might. There have been, I don't know, they had a little Green Lantern scene at the very beginning, so maybe they'll have a Green Lantern show up in the extra hour and a half or something. But
maybe
if they could, and if they did, that'd be fine.
Will
but
it
also,
add
I probably
much?
wouldn't.
I don't know. Why not? Why didn't you have him be introduced in BVS like the others were?
I don't know. Or if they do Green Lantern wrong, who's gonna care?
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of my thing. It's kind of I don't really care if you add new characters if you're not gonna do it right.
Exactly.
Just that's more upset if anything.
That's part of the reason why I do feel so good about this bet, because we already know that Zack Snyder doesn't really know how to write good characters, so just adding more bad characters isn't going to help anything.
That's what I was thinking. It's kind of if you continue to add to the thing that was the problem, but you don't fix what's the problem, you just add more problems. It's kind of this doesn't help you.
Yep.
But we added Darkseid. Okay, but did you fix anyone else?
We made Steppenwolf look cooler. No, you didn't.
The problem was not that Steppenwolf didn't look good. That was not the problem.
He didn't, but that just kind of made the problem feel bigger.
I didn't care that it about the look. I cared about the character.
Yeah.
Superman didn't have the black suit. It's well, yeah, but that's not really what I cared about. I cared that you did this whole Death of Superman with everything else going on anyway, which was kind of hey, pick a comic book, don't do 7. At the same time.
Obviously, we don't want the DC universe to be just like the Marvel universe, but there's a reason why those movies are going on 12 years of doing stuff, actually over 12 years of doing stuff.
Yeah, it's been on it now.
There's a reason why they've been so successful up to this point. There's a reason why the first Avengers movie worked as well as it did.
They're
if it
written better.
works, at least take inspiration from that and build on these characters to the point where you like them, and then throw them together, not just try to shove Aquaman, Cyborg, and Flash into a room and be like, okay, boom.
Do movie. Well, I mean, that's not. I mean, that in that scene, the thing is, like, I know, like, it's better to have characters established and then bring them together. But like, that probably isn't even the problem. Because if it worked, if they wrote the characters in a complementary fashion, then it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, like with the Justice League cartoon, we only really knew Superman and Batman. I think the Flash and maybe Green Lantern were like in the Superman show at some point.
They had like cameos, but like it wasn't that serious.
Yeah.
Like you saw them for like an episode, and their characters weren't even that similar.
Yeah. So like, but then they just added Wonder Woman, this Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkwoman, into your show. Martian Manhunter 2. We didn't know anything about these characters, yet they matched so well together, fighting a common goal, and they worked well together. Like, yeah, we like all these people. Keep doing more. But if you just introduce them here and we don't like any of them, and they're introduced very awkwardly, and it feels like the villain that they're fighting doesn't need a Superman to come stop it, because Aquaman and Wonder Woman feel like they are already winning anyway, yet they lose for some reason. I don't know.
Because plot.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. I think that's just kind of an issue I have with Darkseid, or that level of being the thing that brings the Justice League together. I think it just doesn't, because I don't really love it when the New 52 does that either. It just feels a little too high stakes for the first thing the Justice League does.
Right.
Like, you're fighting the Thanos of DC Comics as the first thing. It just feels a little rushed, and it feels a little like
everything else was kind of a step down.
Yeah. Like, I liked how it's just an alien invasion at the beginning of the Justice League cartoon. Like, this is affecting everybody, but it's not god tier importance. I feel it works.
Like at the end, where Darkseid just shows up and just like, I'm taking your planet now.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was crazy.
Yeah, it can work very well. Zack Snyder just clearly doesn't know how to do it. And maybe the Snyder Cut will make these characters be more likable. I don't think it will, because we already hate 3 of them, but it's fine.
It won't. I mean, okay, so like my thing is like the Snyder Cut, like basically you have to redo the personalities of pretty much every character you already had. Mm-hmm. Make the characters you add, not bad, and then also, it's just kind of like make the story make a little more sense, and the things you add, I don't know, like it kind of just the whole thing is kind of just like missing on a lot in my opinion. So it's kind of like you're gonna have to basically rewrite the entire movie.
Yes.
For it to work. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be differences, but I don't think they're going to be I think they're going to add stuff, but not fix anything. That's kind of how I see it going.
I agree. But I guess we'll find out in March, at least part of it.
It's one movie you're going to release in 4 parts. I don't understand. Like, if it was a series of movies,
sure.
Kind of how The Godfather or something like that, I guess that kind of makes sense. But it's it's just going to kind of stop in the middle of the movie. Yeah. And we've already seen, this movie, 2.5 hours was the original? So
the original Justice League movie was an hour and 58 minutes.
Okay, so we've already seen 2 hours of this. So it's are you going to have us waiting? Watching one part of it, and then that's so if it's 4 parts, it's supposed to be a 4-hour movie. So it's gonna be maybe an hour part each. Yeah. That sounds so bad.
I don't know.
That sounds really bad. I don't see how that's gonna work at all.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. And are you gonna have to edit the movie itself to have obvious stopping points in the movie? That just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't like where this is going. I feel like it's gonna awkwardly just jump from place to place whenever the stopping happens, and then it's just gonna we're here now.
Yep.
And obviously I feel like the new scenes are gonna be oriented towards the transitions and then thrown on the end.
Yes.
So maybe the first 2 or 3 parts are mostly the movie part of the movie we saw edited, added some scenes here or there, and then the last part is gonna be pretty much all new. but still, it's like,
No, it's,
is this really the move we're gonna make? But again, we'll see. I haven't
see.
seen it yet. I mean, I have, but I haven't. So we'll see.
Yeah, pretty much. We've seen BVS. We've seen the version of Justice League. I think we know what we're getting into. I feel good.
That's what I was saying. I'm like, yeah, it looks like a duck, smells like a duck, talks like a duck.
Probably a duck.
Not a great movie.
So, is there anything else you want to bring up or discuss before we sign off?
That's all I've got for today.
Okay. And if this is the last time we see you before the end of the year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever. Happy New Year. Take care.
Hope next year's better than this year.
Hopefully.
Good gracious.
Okay. See ya.
Take care, everybody.